Hello and welcome to the webinar number 38 of the Zebra BI webinar series. I'm Andre of Zebra BI, and today we'll discuss how to convert boring reports into actionable data stories in Office, in Excel, and in Power BI. All right, so first of all, let me show a couple of market trends, a couple of facts about the data world today. Number one, we all work collaboratively and online in hybrid workspaces. There's 55% increase in Teams meetings. So we're collaborating, we're meeting online, lots of meetings, lots of presentations, and analysis that needs to be shared with people, and so on. And on the other hand, the cost of poorly organized meetings was 399 billion in the US alone. And this is the data from 2019 already, which means that we are at a big risk here. On the other hand, in the BI world, with professional BI tools and so on, the market is shifting from descriptive analytics to prescriptive analytics, meaning we are now trying to show actionable insights instead of just data monitoring, right? Instead of just showing some tables and so on. People want to know what exactly has happened, why it has happened, what is going to happen, and have qualitative data together with quantitative data and so on. So this is a clear market trend right now. Another fact, integration of BI platforms and productivity tools is taking place. For example, in Microsoft World, Power BI is being integrated in Excel. Lot of features and functionality was added to make sure that this integration is seamless, and it's going to this functionality is going to increase in the next months and years to come. Okay, so these are the market trends, and while we are looking at this, Excel is still the #1 BI tool. Okay, Excel is everywhere. So Office 365 has 120 million plus monthly active users. Roughly 54% of businesses use Microsoft today in the world. And even though businesses, companies like your company are adopting BI platforms like Power BI, Excel is here to stay, and every user practically has some sort of report or analysis or presentation in a local Excel file or maybe a presentation. So Office is not going everywhere. We need to make sure that we deliver actionable insights in Office, in Excel, and PowerPoint as well. So meanwhile, Microsoft has switched their product strategy to cloud first. So the online version actually gets updated first before the desktop version is updated. So we are all moving to the cloud. As well as Excel is getting more and more BI features, which is called modern Excel. And Microsoft, as mentioned, is doing big investments in Power BI and Excel integration. So this is all great. This is all dandy. Excel everywhere, but there is this one problem. Okay, so the way how we use Excel today for reporting, for analysis, looks like this. Okay, so we are still doing analysis in the way we did maybe 10 years ago or even 20 years ago with tables, lots of numbers locked in the grid, or maybe some pie charts or even 3D pie charts and so on. So the results of our work in Excel, in Office, has not changed much, although the functionality and the trends and the requirements of business users have changed dramatically. All right, so it's time to act right now. We need actionable insights. This is not enough today. We need to do something. If you're presenting in a meeting to so many people, these managers, these analysts, they need actionable insights today. Okay, so how are we going to do this? How are we going to tackle this issue? First of all, we'll take a look at how to achieve actionable insights in Excel. It starts with actionable charts, meaningful analysis, commenting, dynamic commenting in Excel, and so on. Next, we'll see how to achieve modern BI solutions with actionable reporting in Excel, and also with data storytelling in PowerPoint that today needs to be interactive, to answer questions in a meeting in an interactive way right away. In the end, we'll see a case of Power BI plus Office better together, which is also a slogan of Microsoft, and we'll try to illustrate this. After the presentation, I will show a lot of cases, a lot of real world examples, and I will give you some download links of all of these examples after the webinar, so you can all download the practical templates that you can start using today. Okay, we'll have a Q&A session in the end. So Mark, this is a 60-minute session, and then we'll have an extensive Q&A at the end. Okay, we are recording this, so you will get the recording. Okay, so I'm Andre, the founder and CEO at Zebra BI, Microsoft's most valuable professional, and also IBCS certified consultant. And today I have with me Mark, who is a BI consultant here at Zebra BI and will help me with your questions and remarks. Mark.
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for joining this session. I will be monitoring the questions as usual and try to address them in the chat. But anyways, after the session, we'll have a Q&A in the sessions panel, and you can ask your questions there directly. So yes, we should address all the important topics. Andre, back to you.
Thank you so much, Mark. So yeah, just keep those questions coming. Write them in the questions box, and we'll have a discussion in the end. Okay, so let's do some work now. First of all, actionable insights in Excel with Zebra BI, of course. Let me switch over to Excel, and yeah, for now, empty Excel, and I will now insert a Zebra BI visual. Okay, Zebra BI charts for Office. I'll simply insert my first actionable chart. I have a choice here, so let's go for a variance chart. Maybe this one. Okay. All right. So this is the easiest way to create an actionable chart in Excel. Okay. You simply add Zebra BI, and you will get a chart with comments and some demo data already here populated in your worksheet. Okay, so you can just simply do this and start right away. So you can copy and paste your data, link your data, or just change the numbers here. So for example, if I change something here, of course, that my chart will change now, and I can also give my data points an additional comment here. So like this. I simply type this in, and of course this comment will appear on the chart. So now we have a chart which presents the data compared to a comparison scenario. So the data has a context. Okay, so it's being compared to my previous year's values, and the visual has calculated all the variances here, and the comments are being placed inside the same visual. So you see, this is just one object which is completely integrated. Everything from quantitative information, the numbers here that are being visualized in a very clear way, and also the texts, the comments are presented in the same visual. And now you can just maybe choose another chart if this was not exactly what you really wanted. So you have this chart slider to change the chart types. All the charts are completely interactive. Okay, so you can change this as the report designer, but even once you share this analysis to your viewers, to the end users, they can also interact with the visual, see the data in different ways when they present this to somebody else, and so on. So this is the key part here, that everything is completely interactive. So I understand now that this is 9.6% below previous year, so negative growth now here. But if you will click, or the end user will click, they will see that, okay, this is also $181,000, for example, or millions here. So everything is completely interactive, as well as it is responsive. Okay, so if I make the chart smaller, the charts will react, and I can have a very small chart, combine it with some other visuals in like a dashboard or a more interactive report, or I can simply have one analysis with bigger charts. Now the variances are presented in a separate chart, and also the relative variances have been calculated automatically and are being displayed here. So I know exactly that, okay, in December, this is actually 41% below previous year. So this is year over year in December. Okay, so this was a very simple example how you can actually start with a blank worksheet in Excel and create something ad hoc in practically under a minute. All right, now the second situation is, all right, you already have some data, and in the most simple example, this would be this will be some sort of values in Excel, in an Excel range, a range of cells. So now I already have some actual data in my plan by month, and if you simply select this table, you can just click inside and do the same thing here. Insert chart. Okay, now you have created the chart from your existing data. Okay, again, completely straightforward. You get the same chart from which is linked to those values. All right, not only that, the values, you can create visuals also from Excel tables. So now let's convert this range in Excel to an Excel table. The fastest way to do that is to press Control T. Okay, so Control T in Excel will convert your Excel ranges to an Excel table. So if you are not using Excel tables, then I strongly recommend you start doing that. So I'll convert this. My table has headers, so I'll leave this check mark on. Okay, confirm. And now I have the same data in an Excel table. All right, now the Zebra BI visuals will work beautifully with Excel tables. And the advantage of using Excel tables in Excel is that they are much more flexible and dynamic. So first of all, for example, if I resize the area, the source data, the chart will react, okay, because my selection is now smaller, only up until July, okay. Of course, I can also, sorry, I did not want to do this. Let's delete. Oh no. Problems with my mouse. Okay. So I actually wanted to extend the range for the Excel table. So it's completely flexible. You can also add more columns to a table in a very simple way. So if you simply type your data next to the table, so let's create a column for comments like this, right? Something happened. I have a new column now, and now I just type in some comment, a new comment here. Voila. It already appears on the visual like this. So it's very easy to extend or shrink the source data if you are using Excel tables. Remember that. So this is my first tip. Use Excel tables. Otherwise, what do you also need when presenting business data? Okay, we saw the comparison to previous year, but of course you typically have more comparisons. So typical situation is where you will have some actuals. Let's say this is my sales now. So I have my sales data up until August, and then this is empty. And then these are my previous year's values. This is my plan, of course, for the whole year. And I also have a forecast, okay? Forecast is something that will make your reports much more actionable because you are not observing the data just up until this month and the year-to-date values, what has happened basically up until today. And this would just mean looking at the past data all the time, right? To achieve actionable reporting, you need to involve the forecasts. So you need to add forecasts to your analysis. So that's why I have another column here. So now I have my actual compared to 3 scenarios, which gives me much better context. And now I can understand, all right, in June, I was much below the plan here. Okay. And even below previous year here, because I see this marker, the gray marker actually represents the previous year, as you see here in the label. Okay. And also, I have my values up until August, but I also have the forecast for the rest of the year. All right, so now I have a glimpse into the future, what is going to happen, what is our latest estimation for the rest of the year. And yeah, I actually see that, all right, we started the year quite well, and then we were below the plan, unfortunately, but the situation is improving now. And yeah, it is also going to, this positive trend is continuing also in the future month, right until the end of year. Okay, so this is what this column chart would explain to me. And then maybe if I take a look at the waterfall chart here, let's just cut the axis briefly to understand this. Okay, so you see in the waterfall chart gives me additional information, which is, okay, how exactly am I going to end my whole year? So the plan was 8.9 million, and then the forecast up until the end of the year is 8.6 million, which means that we'll end our year if everything goes according to this forecast, of course, 6.6% above my plan, which is great. So this ability to to display different types of charts and just change them dynamically in a meeting or something gives you this option, enables you to tell better stories with your data, explain the data from different angles, so that people will actually understand it, and that you can actually discuss actions needed, needed to correct a certain situation or something like that. All right, now as you see here, this area with the comments, this is called the comments box. This is extremely dynamic, so you have all the options to design everything within the same visual. You can make it wider or more narrow, and then you have a lot of additional options, like having a more material design with shadows, and practically control every pixel on the visual. And of course, you can style the charts according to your corporate branding or your preferred design. So every color that you see here, of course, can be adjusted. So maybe better for something, blue versus red for to compensate for color blindness and so on. Okay, now the next thing are the tables. So in Excel, of course, you need charts to visualize trends, but you also need tables to display breakdowns by a category that is not time. So for example, in my case here, I have my business units and I have sales versus plan situation here. So this visual now shows the visualizes this table. So how do you do that? For this, you will need another visual. Okay, now I don't have it here. So let me now show you how do you actually get the visuals. By the way, the basic version of the visuals is free, and it practically has all the functionality. Okay, so everybody can simply click Get Add-ins directly from Excel, and now your Office add-ins store, Microsoft Store, will open, and you simply search for Zebra. And you will see two visuals. The first one was Zebra BI charts for Office, and the second one is Zebra BI tables for Office. So let me add this one as well. All right, I need to confirm this. And now I have created this nice visual display of my data. So I have my data according to the business units. Again, this is completely responsive. So if you make the visual completely narrow, this will shrink into one chart, but this chart still represents comparison to plan. So I immediately understand something that was not obvious from the table alone, right? But here it is immediate. The insight into this is immediate. We do have a problem with the variables. In this business unit, it's 1.9 million below the plan, right? So problem here, also problem on our leading business units and so on, right? So these insights are immediately available. But if you make it, if you make the visual wider, then people will have more options like sorting, especially if there are lots of categories in your table, sorting, ascending or descending by the variance or by relative variance, or the growth rates or whatever you have in the data. You can also visualize this in a different way with a waterfall chart, and adds maybe even adds some things that are not here in the table. So my table does not contain the grand total, right? Which is typically what you would want to see or present. So you simply click show grand total, and the grand total is presented in the visual as well. Now, if this was sales, this would be great. But what if these were costs? Some sort of expenses, okay? If you have expenses that are greater than plan, or previous year. Actually, here it says previous year. So Zebra BI actually understands the typical business scenarios like actual, previous year, plan, and so on. So it reads the data, it reads the data fields, the columns from your source data, and then it tries to assign it to certain buckets, and you can always manually reassign the field. You simply move it. So this is my plan. I'll move it here just to make sure that this is my plan. Of course, you can also rename any columns. This can be a plan. This can be whatever, plan 2022 and so on. Simply rename it. Okay. All right. Of course, you can also move the columns around. So in a couple of clicks, you have a business analysis that is immediately understandable and hopefully also actionable, especially when you add comments to that. Okay. So the charts and tables combined with charts, and then all this together combined with comments. And we have also seen forecasts into the future. These are the absolute necessary elements of actionable reporting. It's very, very hard or practically impossible if you don't use these elements today, to communicate your business data in an efficient, understandable, and actionable way. All right, so this is the basic. I would say these are the basic requirements of actionable reporting, and then of course you need charts that are very flexible. Especially in financial reporting or in business reporting, you need charts that are extremely flexible, like waterfall charts with multiple subtotals, for example. This is a typical requirement that is, very poorly, I would say, serviced in the native Excel charts. So waterfall charts with multiple subtotals, as in this case, where I have my EBIT compared to my EBIT here compared to previous year, and then I see the contribution of certain elements like sales revenue and other types of costs and so on, how they are contributing to my final EBIT. This explains the 18.9% growth of my EBIT towards previous year. But then you might have some additional elements or categories, business categories, that affect your EBIT, like maybe currency adjustments because of currency fluctuations and so on. So then when you do the adjustment, you have the currency adjusted EBIT value, which is smaller or bigger. But this is a way where this fact is presented visually in a very understandable way. So for this, of course, you need flexible waterfall charts. And that's why the Zebra BI visuals for Office have all of those handy functions. Like, for example, you have certain floating elements in your waterfall chart. This is also what maybe native charts in Excel have, right? But then you simply right-click and you say, okay, this is actually already a result. And that's it. And then for some other elements, like maybe for costs, you need to invert them. Like these are my material costs, and if my material costs are growing, this actually needs to be subtracted. It has a negative impact on my EBIT, right? So I need to invert this element. I right click and invert it, and then I have the right calculation, the right flow that explains what is going on with my financial values. Okay, so this would be then a more advanced charts that you need to add to your toolbox when you're reporting, when you're communicating your data, your analysis to your end users. Okay, now those were the charts, but today you also need to move from more or less static reporting to highly interactive and even exploratory data analysis, which is called modern BI, modern Excel today. And of course, this typically starts with pivot tables in Excel. So, for example, do I have a nice short example here? So let's try this one. So now I have a pivot table, some quarterly data here. I'll insert a Zebra BI visual, the Zebra BI charts visual. Okay, so this is now one big waterfall chart. Okay, one big waterfall chart is not enough. Now I want to understand what is really going on. Okay, I see 14.2% of my increase in my sales, which is great. Okay, but if I want to really understand how did we do this, you need to have this option to break down the data, to drill into details, right? So with the pivot table, this is very simple. So let's add, for example, business units, and I'll just add this to my columns in a pivot table. Okay, so now my pivot table has shows all of my business units, but of course, because this is just a table with numbers, I will look into my visual. I'll look at my visual, and my visual now, instead of one chart, presents multiple charts. Actually, it presents all of the charts for the charts for all of the business units. Okay, so this is called a small multiple. And now I have a much deeper understanding, because I understand that, all right, my revenue, it was growing 14.1%, right? But actually my largest business unit, most important business unit, actually has negative growth, and that's 20.4%. If you click, this is in absolute terms, or maybe both numbers, right? And then the next one is rather, it's okay, rather it's 2.2% below, and so on. But okay, the baby care business unit is growing, and this one is growing, and so on, right? So you understand this picture, you understand the relations in data, and this is the power of exploratory analysis, and this is the power that you add to your reporting in Office when you start using pivot tables, and then you combine this with the Zebra BI visuals. Of course, then, if you're the manager responsible for one business unit here, you have this functionality to click on the title, and then you see a blown up chart. You can actually move around, cycle through charts and so on. So there's a lot of functionality here. And this is how you start using pivot tables. Now, let's see some practical examples, and let's do a quick exercise. And we'll try to build a nice example in Excel. Okay, and now we have this chart that I have shown. So the chart with the variances, right? But of course, you have more requirements. You want to see this data either as month-to-date data or even year-to-date. Okay, so that's why I have this switch here to switch between month-to-date and year to date. Okay, so what do you need for that? You need your data, you need Zero BI charts visual, and a couple of ideas and a couple of Excel tips and tricks to build this. All right. This is my data. Let's try to build this thing. Okay. This is my data. Now, if I just visualize this data, I already have the chart. I already have the chart here, but I don't have the switch. So how did I get this switch here? What is this element in Excel? So this is a native Excel element. It's simply a slicer, okay? But to insert a slicer, so you have several ways how to insert slicers. In my case, we will do a small trick with a pivot table. So let me just type this in. So I will create a switch for my period calculation. This switch has a value of month to date and year to date. Okay, and now I will select this, okay, and I will insert a pivot table. I'll insert a pivot table and just insert it here. All right. Okay. So pivot table, let's show the field list. Why am I doing this? I only have this one field because I just have one column with two values, right? So I'll move this to the filter area in a pivot table. Okay. This is just a simple trick to make sure that I have this switch, okay, from month to date to year to date, okay. So, but it looks like a regular pivot table filter. Okay, now I'll use this field. So I can simply right click, or no, let's go to insert. And now I will use this field to create the slicer in Excel. So I will use the period calculation slicer. And now my slicer already flips this value from month to date to year to date. But of course, now I need to do a couple of more things, right? This data is still my static data, my monthly data. So I need to enter a couple of formulas to make sure to read this switch and then return either month to date or year to date values. Okay, so first of all, let's move this slicer up. You can actually design the slicer. For example, how to make the slicer horizontal in Excel. Just increase the number of columns. In my case, I'm just going to have two values always. So I will display my elements in the slicer in two columns, and that's it. So this now works as expected. Why is this shifting left and right? Because this is a pivot table that by default will always set the column width automatically. So for this, you need to check a few, or uncheck rather, a couple of options here. So this one, auto fit column widths on update. This is the switch, the checkbox that you need to remove. Okay, now this column is not, this column will stay fixed here. Okay, so this is now working, but now I have some more work to do. So first of all, I will now create the second table. Okay, this is my month, and this is January. So this will stay the same. So let me just move it down. December. All right, exactly like this. So this will be my new table, right? This will be my new table that will take into account the switch that I have placed here, the value here. So instead of just linking this value here, I will actually say if this value here. Okay. Okay, and it's already called period calculation. Why is it called period calculation? Because I've done this before at home. So I just named it period calculation. Okay, so just click on the cell and you give it a name in Excel. Okay, and now you can refer to this name in the formulas. So this is going to be easier now. So let's say if my period, or just click on it. If my period calculation equals month to date. So if this is month to date, I'll simply return the value from the above table. If not, I need to calculate the year-to-date value, and the year-to-date value will be sum of this, almost like this, but what? I need to sum the values from the first cell. So the cell in row number 7 to the current cell, which means that I need to fix my formula here. So I'll just fix the column, fix the row. That's why the $sign here. So I pressed F4 2 times. Okay, and this is it. And I need the closing parenthesis here. Okay. So these are now my previous year's values. So they are the same as above because I have month to date here. But now when I click here, the value has changed and my formula is now actually returning this second part. The sum, which is actually accumulated value or year-to-date value. All right, and now I simply copy those values here. And okay, we can fix this, I guess, later. Also, we need to link the comments, make sure that the comments are also down. So now if you'll simply use equal sign, you'll have a problem because Excel will return 0, so it's better that you actually check. So if if you check if the cell is blank, so this is what is blank formula will do. So you check if this is blank. All right, so if this is blank like this, then what? Then we'll return an empty string like this. Otherwise, we'll actually return the text of the comments. So either an empty text or the actual text of the comments. This is just to make sure that you don't have zeros here. Okay, and now what we will do, we'll simply delete this chart here and use this table as the source for the Zebra BI visuals to make sure that we visualize this properly. Move it up. Okay, let's check the columns. All right, you already see that this is now year-to-date values. It's growing each month. And my switch now works. Okay. In reality, then it's even better that you check for empty values also in the actual column, so that you don't have the same year-to-date value here. So you would need another is blank formula to check if this formula is blank or not, and if it is blank, just return the blank value. Okay, so this is just a quick demonstration how you can now combine Excel features to create reports that are, fully interactive just by using formula. So this is also a nice view of year-to-date values, but then okay, my my screen just went blank on me. Hope everything is right. Okay, so with a couple of formulas and tricks, you create interactive reports that you can then share with your viewers. Okay, so we used a lot of tricks like this in our templates. It's already done in every template, so I'll share the link and you can download them and then explore how they are, how they have been created. Check for the formulas once again, and so on. All right. Now let's move on to my next example, which is the income statement. Namely, this is also one of the first reports in the finance department. You know, the most basic financial report. And typically you will have some data like this, some account groups, some accounts, you know, some revenue and types of income, types of expenses. Okay, and typically these accounts are then grouped into groups, and of course you may have many levels here, so you just need multiple columns for that. And in this case I have previous year and actual, and now I have just simply inserted, I have used this data and have simply inserted a pivot table from this data. Okay, and this is now in this pivot table, simply inserted from that source data. Okay, and now from this pivot table I have created a fully visual and interactive pivot data report in one single visual, like this. Okay, let's try to recreate this, and I'll show you a couple of advanced features that you will have to use in your financial reports. So let's start with a Zebra BI table. Okay, so now I have my previous year and my actuals, and the visual has already calculated all the variances. So I have my delta previous year, and I also have the previous year growth in percent. So this already works. You know, I can sort and so on, but you actually don't want to sort here. So I'll click 3 times to make sure that I don't have any sorting by any column here, because what you need now, or what you want, is to have something like this. Let's change this to a waterfall chart, and you need this one, the calculation waterfall chart. Okay, now this is now already looks promising. So I have certain types of revenue. Okay, so my licenses, consulting revenue, and so on, other revenue. This is my total revenue. Then I have a group of accounts that are actually expenses. All right, so I will need to invert this to make sure that the expenses are being subtracted from my revenue. And you do that by clicking on the group, and you can actually invert all the child elements simply with one click. All right, so I have inverted the whole branch of my expenses here. And then I have the operating profit, which is now a result. This is my resulting column. And then I have investment income. That's okay, and financial income. So some more income. And this will result in my profit before tax. Now I have tax. Taxes need to be inverted, so invert the tax, and this will be my profit after tax. This is my next result. And invert this, and this is my final net result. Okay, and this is my P&L. So you simply visualize it, invert certain costs, make sure to mark the results, and you have your P&L. And yeah, now I can also add certain things that I don't have in my table, like all right, what's actually my percent of operating profit versus as a percent of my revenue. Okay, let's do this. You can right click, add a formula, and I'll just say operating profit percent. This will be the name of my new element, and I'll calculate it simply as my profit, operating profit divided by sales revenue. Okay, so the visual actually lets you add additional KPIs directly on the visual, and you select the format. So this is going to be a percentage, 1 decimal place. Let's make it bold. You can make it italics. You can change the color of the row. And now I have my operating profit as a percent, and the visual will now calculate it for the previous year and for this year. And wow, it's growing from 30 to 34%, which means it has grown for 3.9 percentage points. Okay, so you have this here, and you can add as many formulas as you need. And this is what is required for financial reporting. It's very easy to set it up here, and voila, this was full P&L report in simply a couple of minutes. Okay, with this you can create so quite advanced reports in Excel. Also, if you are using pivot tables, then the visual will have all of those, will offer all, more interactivity, like hierarchical display. You can simply expand or collapse certain elements. So this is my sales revenue, and then I have the cost. But yeah, I also have more detailed revenue on the second level. So you have those expand, collapse buttons here. You can even right click and collapse the entire field like this, have a short P&L, save it, share it with someone, and then people will drill down into details. And of course, you can have as many levels of detail in your financial statements, and of course also in sales reports and so on. So the Zebra BI tables visual handles those hierarchies really, really well. All right. For this, you need pivot tables. Okay, so you need to move from simple data and so on to pivot tables. This is the first step, and then later on you can move to Power Query and so on. And this will, with this you will shift more into modern BI, even if you're just using Excel or PowerPoint for reporting. Okay. Voila. Now this was Excel. Now what about PowerPoint? I have an empty presentation now. Okay, I want to create a couple of slides for my meeting. Okay, and I don't have anything right now. I don't have any charts, and I don't have the time to insert charts and try to format them and so on. So that's why we have also offered Zebra BI for PowerPoint. It is exactly the same visual. So I'll search again for Zebra BI, and you will find the same two visuals: Zebra BI charts for Office, Zebra BI tables for Office. I'll add this one, continue, and it's exactly the same experience. So let's create the chart, the variance chart. Okay. And the chart is here, and also you have your data here. So you can simply, again, copy and paste this data, type in the numbers, and you're done. And it's exactly the same visual. You can resize things. You can interactively, you can interact with the charts. cut the axis or not, and you can add more comments. Voila, now we have it here, and so on, right? And so this was my first slide. You just make it bigger. Maybe add a title. Make sure that you're using your branded slides, and this is your first one. And then the next one, again, simply insert another chart, and maybe this one. Let's go for a waterfall. Voila, and you already have a chart with some demo data where you simply either change the data or copy and paste the data from Excel directly inside and into the Power BI, and that's it. And you can do the same thing with the tables as well. So let's insert another table. Okay, and I need to get the tables for PowerPoint. So the second one, search for Zebra in the Office, add-ins, Marketplace. Just add it here. So you can do this right away, right now. So you don't even have to give us your email. You simply do this, and the first time you will have to log in with your existing Office account, and this is how you use the free version. So it's very, very simple. Okay, now let's create a table with one comparison. You see some data is here, some comments, and this is now the data. The table visual, which is again fully responsive here, and you can now sort within PowerPoint, switch between different views in a table, switch between different chart types, or just have more table-like columns with numbers and so on. And yeah, can just keep adding your slides, and maybe in 15 minutes you're done, and you can go on a meeting and then reuse those slides the next time. Okay, so with this we have now achieved a seamless cross-platform integration, also with reporting. So we were quite famous for our visuals in Power BI, but now the same visuals are available in Excel and in PowerPoint, which means that any user can simply start in Excel, create actionable charts, move them to PowerPoint, and then later on reuse them in Power BI. It's the same user experience no matter where your users are. They can use Zebra BI, and they will have exactly the same look and feel. So the reporting layer will look the same for everyone. Okay, we will share more. We will share more examples. You will see PowerPoint templates. Okay, I will not update links. So this is a PowerPoint example. We can just simply reuse those slides. Reuse this slide. Simply go here, edit data, and use it for your own purpose. So this is coming in a package together with the reporting. Make sure to use. Make sure to check your inboxes when we send the recording. We'll send this material. We'll send all the templates. The templates are on our website. Oh, how do I open this? I have moved. Sorry, I have moved my. All right, and Zebra BI like this. Okay, so if you go to zebrabi.com, you'll find the resources on our webpage. Just simply go here under resources. Now the templates are here, so just click on templates. These are Power BI templates, but we also have the Excel templates. So everything that I have shown today, but also much more. So you'll see all the templates. Just simply download everything whatever you need is here. And the rest is coming in the package together with the webinar recording. Okay, so with this, I would invite everybody to, of course, start using Zebra BI visuals for Excel or for PowerPoint or both. Just click that get add-ins button in Excel or in PowerPoint and start using the visuals. Give us your feedback. And for further resources, we also have webinar recordings from our previous sessions. So there's 38 hours of recorded material on our website. So to check for details on income statements, sales reporting, other types of reports. So make sure to check those links. And yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit subscribe button for the next webinars of Zebra BI. Okay, now I will invite everyone to join me for an interactive session. I'll be available. Ask me anything, and Mark will help me. So please click on the sessions, and I will meet you in the Q&A session right now after this. Thank you.